Hello and welcome to my weekly roundup of motorsport news. We've got F1 news, Formula E news, we've got MotoGP and Formula E on the TV this weekend, as well as some IMSA, so plenty to get into, and I'll tell you where you can watch this weekend's motorsport content. Let's get straight into it. So first of all, here is the Gone in 60 Seconds channel. Loads of car reviews, car and driving information, and latest breaking news. So this week we've had the Lexus LM review and the new Toyota Aygo X reviewed on the channel. Next week is going to be videos on the BMW iX3, the new 500-mile EV, absolutely brilliant. It's a bit of a spoiler, and the Peugeot 5008 plug-in hybrid, which is the 7-seat version of the Peugeot. Also extremely good car, interesting pricing. I'll tell you all about that in the video next week on the main channel, so please do make sure you are subscribed. We hit the massive milestone of our first 1,000 subscribers, so thank you to all of you that already have. Then over here we have the second channel, which is the PGF1 and Motorsport channel, where all of these videos are published, and any breaking motorsport news we will find on there. So please do make sure you're subscribed to that one as well, because it does make a massive difference. Right, let's get straight into the news. And the first piece of news is something that flashed into my inbox this morning, and it is news from Stellantis. So Stellantis have multiple brands, including Maserati and DS and Citroen and etc, etc, etc. But they have announced that Opel will be joining Formula E. That replaces DS, and in the UK we call them Vauxhall, so it'll be interesting to know if they do the sort of Vauxhall branding when they race in Britain. But yeah, Opel are joining Formula E. So that is another piece of exciting news. Stellantis bringing another brand in to get some exposure in motorsport, which will be really good for their EVs as well. So that's great news. So Vauxhall or Opel are going to be joining Formula E next year. Now, the biggest breaking news this week has been in the last 24 hours, kind of a bit of whirlwind news, because Aston Martin seem to have made an approach for Jonathan Wheatley. Now, this came out yesterday. No one was saying anything officially, and it all seemed a bit strange. Now, I can completely understand why they would want Jonathan Wheatley. He's an extremely good team principal, seems to have worked wonders over at Audi, and of course did 20 years service, a really good job for Red Bull. Whatever you think of the way they went racing, he did a very good job, and absolutely deserves to be a team principal. Now, it was only a few months ago that Adrian Newey took over the team principal role at Aston Martin, and that always felt like a bit of a placeholder, like it's not really his natural fit, it's not really his natural job to be doing. So it always felt to me like that was not a natural job, and that was kind of just waiting for the right person to come along. Now, Aston Martin have had an absolute disaster of a start to the season. They've got this relationship with Honda, they've got an engine that doesn't seem to have enough power, that seems to have a battery that wants to break itself constantly. The vibrations from the internal combustion engine are playing havoc with drivers' health. So they are having a terrible time. So they need to do something. And Adrian probably isn't the right person to manage all of that. So they need to get someone in who is very good. So what doesn't surprise me, they've swooped for Jonathan Wheatley at all, because he clearly is someone who knows exactly what he is doing. So this is something that rumbled on now for 24 hours. And what I saw today is an email from Audi's media centre telling me they've got a new management structure. And this is a bit of a surprise. Not really a surprise. So, Jonathan Wheatley is leaving Audi Revolut F1 team effective immediately for personal reasons. Mattia Binotto assumes responsibilities as team principal in addition to his current role as head of Audi F1 project. And the Audi CEO says, "We will continue to pursue the path we have chosen with determination." So, let's not pretend we're upset and just say we're going to keep going. Right. I mean, it's a big blow for Audi to lose Jonathan Wheatley, because he's been a really important part of getting that project going and turning Sauber into something that, through years of chronic underinvestment, hasn't been hitting the levels it needed to hit. And turning it into a fully fledged works operation. You know, let's be honest, Audi have done a great job. They've got a brand new power unit and they've hit the track, and they are well and truly in midfield. They're doing an absolute stonking job, considering this is their first Formula One power unit. So yeah, I'm kind of sad in a way for Audi, because I think I like the Jonathan Wheatley mix in there, and I think it's great for Audi. Is Mattia Bonotto good enough? Obviously, he really struggled at Ferrari, didn't really do a good enough job there. What effect is this going to have? Clearly, it looks like Jonathan Wheatley's head has been turned. Leaving with immediate effect means he's going to turn up in green at some point, doesn't it? You can't say otherwise. Aston Martin also released a statement, which was a quote from Lawrence Stroll, saying that we will not comment on rumours, effectively, and that Adrian isn't going anywhere. He is my partner in the team, which I thought was a very odd statement to make too. I think there's just been some rumours that Adrian might walk out or something, which doesn't seem to be the case. It feels very much like Adrian Newey has said, hold on, I can't do all of this. I can't fix all this mess. This isn't my job to fix. So it looks like they've moved for Wheatley. I'm assuming he'll have a period of garden leave, so it will depend when he's able to actually turn up in green, and when that can actually be announced. But that looks like the path of travel is actually happening. So that is huge news for F1. Mercedes have made a change as well. They have appointed Bradley Lord as deputy team principal. Bradley Lord, if you watch F1 on Sky Sports, then when they talk to the pit wall, and it's someone at Mercedes, it's usually Bradley Lord. He's been communications boss there for a very, very long time, very experienced head. So it kind of makes sense that it's him, really. He's done a great job. Then we're going to look at the Chinese Grand Prix, which was last weekend. The results of that: Kimi Antonelli took his first win, George Russell second, Hamilton third, Leclerc fourth, Ollie Behrman, amazing job in the Haas, in fifth, Pierre Gasly sixth, Lawson seventh, Isaac Hadjar in 8th, Carlos Sainz in 9th, and Franco Colapinto grabbing the final point in 10th. As we look down here, there were quite a lot of DNFs. Of course, both Aston Martin's, Max Verstappen's car did not want to play anymore. Both McLaren's didn't even start, which is a massive news story in itself. So far we've had 2 races. Oscar Piastri hasn't completed a single lap. Not one. And Lando Norris didn't start this race. This is absolutely shocking for the world champion team. Let's make no mistake, this is horrendous. Both cars had separate electrical issues, and it very much felt like they were blaming Mercedes for the delivery of the power units late, or not giving them enough instructions on how to use them properly, or some such. Not in those exact words, but that feels like very much what they're insinuating. So I think we'll see fireworks. I really, really do think we'll see fireworks. And of course, Alexander Albon in the Williams. Williams still having a torrid time indeed. But, you know, Carlos Sainz did nick a couple of points, so that is something. Let's look at the M Sport Extra calendar. Of course, no F1 this weekend, but there will be F1 next week in Japan. Just on the schedule of F1, I did post a video talking about the 2 Middle Eastern races being cancelled. And I said in my video that Bahrain and Saudi would be cancelled, but it wouldn't be phrased like that in the release, because they don't want to pay for it. So they don't want to say cancelled, they want to say it won't happen at this time, or it will be postponed, and then the cancellation will happen later on when it can't be fitted in. F1, let's be clear, do not want to pay the penalty for cancelling the race. So it needs to be the races themselves cancelling it, so they still get paid. So watch this space. The release from F1 and the FIA just said these races will not take place in April. Right, so very clear on the wording. The cancellation word would never appeared anywhere. Okay, but as it stands, there'll be no races at all during April. Those races aren't going to be replaced either. as it stands, we're going to have 22 races this year. Hopefully things calm down in the Middle East and all this stuff gets sorted, because at the minute, you'd have to say it does look like Qatar and Abu Dhabi can't go ahead at the end of the year either. Obviously, there's a long way to go until we get to there, but I could, you know, you can easily see if tensions don't de-escalate that we could lose those 2 races as well. But let's be perfectly clear, there are way more important things in the world than Formula One and motor racing, right? Way more important things. So, you know, first of all, we all want to see peace in those areas for more than just because we want to take our cars and play with our big toys there, right? So let's get that very, very clear. But for this, a Motorsport News channel, that is important to note. They haven't been cancelled, they've been postponed, as I said would be the case in my previous video. Anyway, we've got Formula E in Madrid this weekend. We've got IMSA at Sebring, the 12 hours of Sebring, and MotoGP, Moto2, Moto3, of course, as well. IMSA at Sebring, very easy to see. That will be on YouTube, which is great. We love that. It's free to air. Formula E is on ITVX. So the race itself is on ITVX app. It's not live on one of the channels. However, if you have TNT Sports, you can watch the Formula E race live on there. On TNT Sports, then that is at 1 p.m. on Saturday for the race live, okay? So 1 p.m. on Saturday on TNT Sports, but also it'll be on ITVX. So you don't have to subscribe to TNT Sports to watch that live on ITVX, okay? Then we've got MotoGP, which appears all throughout the schedule all week, but the actual race for round 2 in Brazil is at 5:45 p.m. and that is live on TNT Sports, okay? Of course, if you look through the schedule, you've got Moto2 at 4 p.m. And Moto3, oh, there's also Motocross on TNT Sports as well, so that's always good fun. Moto3 there at 2 p.m. So those are your timings for the MotoGP series. And that is it. Now, obviously we look at the M Sport Extra calendar for the latest racing dates and schedules. Please do go and follow M Sport Extra, because on Twitter, on X, because he gives you all the latest breaking news as it happens 24/7. Absolutely brilliant. Right, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.